practice. We got to everybody, running backs, tight ends, wide receivers, quarterback. We did it all. But you got to get to the big uglies. Let's go ahead and break down what PFF had to say about your Cleveland Browns in their offensive line. And I'm gonna tell you what, it wasn't too bad. To me, when I looked at it, I said, "Oh, the top guys." I like Detroit's line.
Yeah.
Detroit got a nice line, bro. They do their thing. Philadelphia comes in at number 2. Indianapolis Colts. This is kind of like, for me, the Colts offensive tackle duo is arguably the best in the league. That's what they got them. But you go at number 4. You don't have to go off the first page. Cleveland Browns. Injuries derailed the Browns' 2023 offensive line, with neither offensive tackle finishing the season and the interior offensive line missing time too. The unit can still be among the best in the NFL when healthy, and it's also evident that the Browns have good enough depth in the second-year offensive tackle, DeJuan Jones, who might even earn the starting job at right tackle. I think he's going to start at right tackle. I also think that, to be truthful, the only question mark you got is Jed Wills up there. And to be truthful, you got Jack Conklin, who could potentially be a swing tackle on the left or right. You got Zach Zenner, who came in. You still have used to have Luke Whippler, who's a center that they're very high on. They got, in DeJuan Jones, I think, has the making to be All-Pro. So to me, this is a nice spot. I could even envision, if everything works out at the highest level, Earl, I'll put them above the Colts.
Yeah, I think the Cleveland Browns offensive line is solid yet again. I'm looking at something real quick as we're having this conversation. I don't have a problem with 4. What I really love, G, is the depth, right? And I talked about this on the show a couple of days ago. We've learned a lot about Andrew Berry, since his tenure began as the Cleveland Browns general manager. And when it comes to identifying offensive linemen, he likes guys that's versatile, guys that can play multiple positions, right? You go back to when Nick Harris was here. He played center. He played some guard some when people were getting hurt or people was missing time due to COVID. You draft Luke Whippler, a guy that can play guard and play center last year out of Ohio State. This year you draft Zach Zenner, who, if it wasn't for an injury, this is a dude who would have been a first-round pick. You stole DeJuan Jones. DeJuan Jones, clearly, if you can do a redraft, is probably the first offensive lineman or tackle taken off the board in last year's draft. Jack Conklin coming off an injury. He's a savvy veteran, former All-Pro player. And then you got Jed Wills. I think Jed Wills, showed some things last year before he got hurt. It was unfortunate that he didn't get the opportunity to finish out that season. You got a new offensive line coach and Andy Dickerson. Bill Callahan is no longer here. So that in itself is a big wild card and unknown. But overall, you see what Andrew Berry has done as far as, with some of the guys I mentioned. You're getting younger on the offensive line. You got versatility on the offensive line. And then you still got solid quality guys like Ethan Pochich and Wyatt Teller and Joe Bitonio that's starting. And when the interior of your offensive line is solid, that goes a long way in protecting your quarterback, not just the tackle positions, because if you see a lot on a defensive line, guys like Chris Jones, for example, they rush from the interior. And so you want to make sure that the interior of the line is just as strong. And the Browns over the last several years have done a quality job of doing so. I think a top 5 ranking for the Cleveland Browns offensive line is just right. With all things equal, you are really looking at the best 4 offensive lines in all of football.
Yeah, look, just to throw some context out there, a lot of people probably wonder, where do these guys individually rank? When you look at the tackles, the Cleveland Browns, they don't have any of their tackles rated in the top 32, which would not be that wouldn't be a surprise, because none of the tackles ended up the season. All of them ended up on IR. Conklin didn't even finish one game. So that's to be expected. But when you talk about the strength of the line, you go and look at the center rankings individually. Ethan Pochich is ranked 7th. It says after 5 years in Seattle, Pochich stepped in starting role for the Browns, fulfilling a void left by longtime center J.C. Tretter. Postage has been it's been stellar for the team, earning a 75.1 grade. He's 7th overall. When you go to the guard positions, Earl, you got Joe Bitonio, who comes in at number 8, and Wyatt Teller comes in at number 9. So you got a top 10. So think about that. At your center position, you got a top 10 center. You have a top 10 right guard, a top 10 left guard. Actually, you got 2 out of the top 10 guards, period, which just shows you the strength of the offensive line. So that's where they rank individually.
Yeah, and I have no problems with those rankings. I think, some solid quality veterans. We stole Ethan Poacher. Thank God we did. So I got no problems with it, man. Like I said, the Browns offensive line is solid. I think, it's still made to be able to go out there and get the job done now, but it's also constructed to be able to, retool, so to speak, either at the end of this season or next season. So I think we're in good shape.
To end this up, listen, I wanted to throw this at you because you're a big Cam supporter, Cam Mitchell supporter. You're a big time Martin Emerson supporter. This was something.
Best player on the team. Best player on the whole team. I think we sit up here and we have all these damn conversations about Myles Garrett, Deshaun Watson, Nick Chubb, and Amari Cooper, but yet the face of the entire franchise is number 23, Martin Emerson Jr. Man, we got to do better.
I did not know he didn't give up a touchdown last year.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
I did not know that. I did not know.
Listen, I joke a lot. You know what I'm saying? I mess around a lot with the MJ Emerson stuff. But when it's time to get serious, I get serious. If you go out there, G, you check the stacks, you watch the film yourself, man. He finished top 5 in man. He finished top 5 in zone. He had one of the lowest opposing QBRs of any corner in the NFL. He didn't give up many receptions. He damn sure didn't give up no touchdowns. And he had 4 interceptions. And you could argue he probably should have had 6. So this is a dude who got the opportunity, man. When the ball came his way, when they decided to throw it his way, he made some plays. Do we got some holes in this game? Do we got some things he need to clean up? Absolutely. Like, I would love to see, him get quicker, a little bit faster. But, I think MJ is a dog and one of the best corners in the league.
Well, according to this thing, the move that PFF wants them to make before training camp starts, they got an 84.7 overall grade, which is ranked 6th in the NFL. And they got the defensive player of the year in Myles Garrett. But when you look at it, Denzel Ward, Greg Newsome, Martin Emerson, they're locked in as starters. Beyond that, there is a little bit of concern. Your guy, Cam Mitchell, showed some flash in his rookie season, and Justin Hardy was signed in free agency. More talent is needed. Experienced players like Xavier Howard or Dory Jackson are out there, and our cheap options like a Kayla Witherspoon. Your thoughts on bringing in more depth in terms of cornerbacks? Do you think they need to bring in some guys, or do you think Cam Mitchell can lock that position down?
So I do think Cam can lock that position down, but I'm also realistic in knowing that the sophomore slump in the NFL is a real thing. And being a nickel corner in today's NFL, that's a tough task, right? And so you seen him flash last year. You seen him show some stuff as a rookie that's promising that you got some quality depth there. Browns also went out in the draft and they grabbed another corner. When you look at it overall, G, I like the option of having a veteran like Xavier Howard come in, be added to this team. This is a dude who's, when healthy, throughout his career, has always been one of the better corners, and he's a playmaker. Adoree Jackson is a dude that's fast. You got guys like J.C. Jackson out there, Eli Apple is somebody I know Titans will love. But it's some guys out there that still as free agents that I think that should get an invite to training camp and see if they can make this roster. Justin Hardy, I think is a quality DB, but I believe that he's here more for the special team purposes. I think one of the biggest losses that happened this previous offseason that kind of flew under the radar was cornerback Mike Ford, who, when he got his opportunities to play and had to step in and fill bigger roles at certain points last season, we saw some quality ball from him. And so the one thing we know about Andrew Berry, whether it be by draft or free agency or whatever the case may be, when it comes to grabbing some DBs, he's pretty damn good at that. And, we are at the point to where we're headed to camp. He's going to assess what the roster looks like at camp throughout those first couple of weeks of practice. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see another corner in here.